Are we live?
Yeah, now we are.
Now we're live. Well, wow. Okay, great. Hey, how you doing there? I see you. No, no. Yes, do. No, I don't see you. But I hope you see us because we're live. Anyway, um, my beloved wife Arlene is here. I am King Obad Dele, giver and receiver of a deeper wisdom. I honor the divine in you and those who come before us. And I have with me my beloved wife Arlene Kahet. Kahet meaning
Purifying light of God.
purifying light of God. So, any of you who may have known me in the past know that there's a purification going on now of me because of her beauty. No, really, the divine orchestration of what has brought us together is beyond words. And speaking of words, we come tonight with words from the prophet Kahlil, Gibran. Last week we spoke of beauty, and this week an old priest asked of religion, which is interesting because there are those who always ask of religion and its damaging effects. The reason being is because the damaging effects of religion is only a remnant of a negative vibration that was infused intentionally to distract those seeking to find peace and comfort. And of course, there's so many other things that would be included in that. But religion is not what you think it is. For I recall when working as a paramedic with the city of Baltimore, one of the police officers and I had a discussion, and he said to me, as he was taking a young man down for questioning, he asked the young man, he says, what's your religion? And he was like, what? And the officer said, do you have a religion? What's your religion? And the young man said, oh, my religion's basketball. Something to think about. Because when he told me that, it dawned on me that that's very clever and interesting, if one may say. Because religion really is that which you do religiously. So what is it that you do religiously? That which you do religiously is your religion. So, Kahlil Gibran has what he wishes to share with us in his book, As an Old Priest Asks the Question. Okay, so old priest. And then we'll go into the discussion. I'll read through this in its entirety.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
And the priest said,
Mm-mm.
and an old priest said,
That's right. Because see, I want to interrupt. There's a difference between just a priest and an old priest. I'm just saying. And there must be, because if it was not, then it would not have been clearly brought forth as it has here. Sorry, my hand is here. There's a reason for it. We need to get that out of the way. Okay.
Yeah, I think it wasn't so much the phone as it was the computer.
No, it was happening here too. Matter of fact, I need to do something better than that. Excuse us, people. Technical difficulties here, if you so dare choose to call it such. Rotate your device. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Okay, you're sideways.
I know. So, we'll just live with it. Okay. Alright, so, from the top, my dear.
And an old priest said, "Speak to us of religion." And he said, "I'll take care of it."
Okay, just go right here. And you can black that out.
Yes.
Put the mute button on.
I understood.
Okay.
And he said,
Have I spoken this day of aught else? That's one of the reasons why I was thinking about going back to the beginning of the book. This is a day of which everybody gathered to obtain wisdom from this unusual man who lived with and amongst the people of Orphalese, asking questions of him, needing insight of him before his departure from them, and of the many things he had shared comes this segment. And he says, Have I spoken this day of aught else? Is not religion all deeds and all reflections? And that which is neither deed nor reflection, but a wonder and a surprise ever springing in the soul, even while the hands hew the stone and tend the loom? Who can separate his faith from his occupation, from his action, or his belief from his occupation? Who can spread his hours before him, saying, This for God, and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body? All our hours are wings that beat through space from self. He who wears his mortality, but as his best garment, were better naked. The wind and the sun will tear no holes in his skin. And he who defines his conduct by ethics imprisons his songbird in a cage. The freest song comes not through bars and wires. And he to whom worshiping is a window to open but also to shut, has not yet visited the house of his soul, whose windows are from dawn to dawn. Your daily life is your temple and your religion. Whenever you enter into it, take with you your all. Take the plow and the forge, and the mallet and the lute, the things you have fashioned in necessity or for delight. For in reverie, you cannot rise above your achievements, nor fall lower than your failures, and take with you all men. For in adoration you cannot fly higher than their hopes, nor humble yourself lower than their despair. And if you would, know God, be not therefore a solver of riddles. Rather, look about you, and you shall see him playing with your children. And look into space. You shall see him walking in the cloud, outstretching his arms in the lightning and descending in rain. You shall see him smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in trees. Let me also add, be not offended by the word, you shall see him, for there is no limitation except that which you set as the individual, for God cannot be defined. Being the all, as all, in all, through all, God is all, male, female, and the like. There is no separation, which is to be best understood when true religion, not the clothes, but the understanding, comes to stand before you, and you stand as it. Understand what I'm saying? As true religion comes to stand before you, and you stand as it, for you are the emanation and the manifestation of that which is the expansion and the expression of God Him, her, itself. When you come to recognize that all is one and one is all. Let us enter into our discussion. Feel free to put anything inside the comments you so desire. I haven't looked back over the comments, if there were any ever. Well, I have looked back, but not recently. I'm just saying. So there's an archive of these. So please, feel free to peruse our pages to find more of what you are searching for. Arlene, please share with us what you have.
So, really, when I read this passage, the thought that kept coming to mind is that oftentimes, and this is just my conception of religion, that religion is more or less a reflection of a person's walk with the divine. And that person or persons were so deeply inspired by their experiences that there was a conglomeration of other people who joined in. So when it says is not religion all deeds and all reflection, is not religion all deeds and all reflection, and that which is neither deed nor reflection, but the wonder and surprise of every spring in the soul, even when the hands hew the stone or tend the loom. I suppose that that conception was really what came forward for me. And so the thing about religion is that the people who, I guess you could say, the where they get surrounded by people who are inspired by the walk that a person is taking. And the hope really is that that walk will lead you to understand the nature of the divine that is within you. And being able to discover the yes, to understand and walk in that space of the divine that walks in you, that you yourself are the walking, living, talking ministry of what it is that you believe in terms of living the type of life that you desire to live. King, you want to add to that?
Well, it's interesting. I see where you're going with that, and I agree wholeheartedly. I was reflecting on a speech I was doing that I had done. As a matter of fact, this next 3 weekends, if you type in Keeping It Real Conference 2021, I will be featured as one of the speakers there. And in that presentation of mine, I speak of old thoughts and old thinking. And as this starts with an old priest said, speak to us of religion, I thought of how people have taken doctrine and certain aspects of dogma and change it not, because they feel it has to be this way continually. And to change it whatsoever is a violation. And in my speech, if I recall correctly, I say we need to see things from a different perspective, because I came across something in an ancient text that said, "Behold, I make all things new. Have you not perceived it?" And there's like 4 different sections in what is known as the Holy Bible that says that. Yet when we observe the religion that we have been participants in over the years, no matter who you are, there seems to be a contradiction with that which is revealed as what God has said and that which man does. So if he says, "Behold, I make all things new," have you not perceived it? That's what I see here, because there's that section here where it says, a wonder and a surprise ever springing in the soul, even while the hands hew the stone and tend the loom. So no matter what you are doing, whether you are chiseling something out, because you're hewing the stone, okay, you are taking something that's hard, something that seems as though it is not malleable, because later in the same text it speaks of take the mallet and the lute. The lute is actually like a flute, a musical instrument. But use these to shape and fashion that which is, and all that is shall be, because that which once was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not is. It was. Because that which once was already done. What is to prepare for what is to come. So every moment of now is that which is our gift to prepare the future, prepare for the future, and as preparation for that which is yet to be. So I saw all of that in that small section there, and I'll share what I had in that poem that I had about thinking.
Well, I know that there. Um, so this is my thought. I know that I've been, I've gone to churches, and it's really interesting that in certain churches that I swear that I step back in time to 1976, 1977, 1978, when I
And
was
just to let you know, she was born in '74, so
yes. Well, the thing is that I've gone into churches as adult, an adult, or or like now, and we're talking about 40 some odd years later. After I've had those experiences from my childhood,
nothing seems to change.
and there was one church that we went to, and I swear I had stepped right back into, and it wasn't even from my hometown, but the energy and the feel of the place. And the thing that was interesting was that the congregation was reflective of that non-shifting time. And here's a thing that's interesting. One of the things that you will often hear, you know, parents who, people who are parents to the children who are coming out now, that the children themselves are operating in a different area, or a different, vibration than what they were brought up in, or what we were brought up in.
That which once was.
That which was. And so the thing is that if we are to truly be an observation of what is taking place around us, then that means that God is evolving through all of these young beings who are coming forth now. For instance.
Well, let me add, that evolution is reflective of what's happening when that scripture is from Isaiah chapter 43. Behold, I make all things new. They are reflective of the newness, the manifestation of what God is. And the unusuality of this experience and what we are seeing is in conflict. Now, the reason being is because the principles of what the scriptures was written for was kingdom consciousness. But there appears to be a stagnation. Now, I see words differently than most. Now, carefully walk with me here. When I say stagnation, That means that which is not moving yet. Think on this. Listen to the word stag. Okay? That's a male deer. Okay? Nation. Okay? A nation is something that's established, right? Now, the male vibration that has been inundated in the church of old that was abusive and neglective of the female energy, the glory of the woman that is reflective of the divine, is similar to what I can reflect as the ego, the male ego, being a nation that is holding everything back like stagnant water that won't move. And if you don't have the flow that's necessary, allowing living thought to come in, well, then what's going to end up happening is the things that are there will start to stink. I said the other day, it was a couple of years ago now, we was driving up the street, and I looked, I looked, and I was shocked. I was like, what are those people doing? And they were taking stuff out of this church. And I looked, and they had pews. They were walking out of the church with pews. And I was like, they're walking out of the church with pews. I said, oh my goodness. They're walking out of the church with pews. They must be trying to get the stink out. So, how do you get the stink out of a church? Remove the pews. That was that's what came to me. That's what came to me. And it's something to think about, because God is always new. Your evolution as a bodily being is not the same as you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Scientifically speaking, there's no cells in your body today, truth be told, from what I recall scientifically, that was there last year. Okay? Now, if I'm not mistaken, this may be with the exception of the bones and maybe your teeth, because even once you rot and all your flesh is gone, that stays for some period of time, but even that turns to dust. So even your bones are regenerating. Your teeth are doing something. Scientifically, I know it has to be something, because there is living cells that keep it functional. Otherwise, that toothache that you had would not be reflective of anything except the life that's holding that tooth in place and all that is energizing that tooth. Because you know, a dentist will tell you that a tooth can die. So you don't want any dead teeth in your mouth either. But let's not depart from the subject, but let me add a little more flavor. Last week, the poem went something like words. It was alternate thought. My speech, I have another speech called Kingology. It's a theory. And the theory is the reawakening of consciousness through alternate thought. Alternate thought. Because you have to see things from a different light. So, old thinking, okay? Old thought are one and the same, okay? And we got to move away from old thinking. That's why I thought it was interesting when it said old priest. But we have to move away from old thinking, because old thinking, okay, is like an old thin king who has dominion over your thoughts and will not allow you the liberation to expand, to see new things, to reflect on what is, to better understand what is to come, but will lock you into a spot in a place to where don't want you to think like this, don't want you to think like that, and limits your thinking and limits your being, so that you can't be an evolved person. Now, in my looking at Old Thin King, okay, I took the word thinking is 8 letters. When you look at those 8 letters, you separate those 8 letters, 4 on one side, 4 on the other side, and you have THINKING, Thin King. So, old thinking is like an old thin king who has no authority over you, nor any dominion over you, unless you choose for him to do so, because he has no power. Because you have been given the power of choice, and you can choose based on the spirit of truth to operate in divine operation, which is always for expansion and full expression, which means the production of that which has not gone before, something entirely new, not included in the past experience, but proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence of growth. Therefore, it is important to remember and recognize that our reflections and all of our deeds are all one and the same, because we are all one. You had something to share.
Well, yes, I did. Well, I was just going to talk about the energy of children, and in how they're in the church that was stuck back
In time,
in
stuck
time,
in time, yeah.
stuck in time, and bringing the energy of, say, one of my young people into that space, it would not work. I oftentimes, when it came to parenting, I really had to be innovative and think outside of the box in order to address the needs of my children.
Their new thinking.
Their new thinking,
Right.
they weren't compatible with that space. And the same thing goes with the children that are coming out now. That and oftentimes, what was really interesting, again, with the parents that I knew, or that I know, that are friends of mine, if we talk about this quite a bit, in having to have evolved conversations with our young people in order to be in a place of allowing them to be in a place of being guided by their inner guidance. And the thing, one of the things that I what's talked about here is that, and he who defines his conduct by ethics imprisons his songbird in a cage. Again, I think that one of the things that he meant, why he mentions this, is because you don't want to have it where religion in and of itself causes you to defy what King likes to call your life instructions. You don't want it to have you caged and not be able to express what it is that is coming to you through the divine. And there are that religion or the expectation of following it exactly to the letter.
The dogma thereof.
The
Yeah.
dogma.
Yeah.
The dogma will set you off course if you're
not listening to the spirit of truth. And
yes.
that's key, because every person is created to hear from the spirit of truth. This is what I call living thought. And the children are hearing from the spirit of truth. Yet, at the same time, the confusion comes in, because when holding on to something that no longer serves you any benefit, such as a loaf of bread that's gone mold, because it can happen, why hold on to it now that is molded? Is this a science experiment? And if so, what is the expected outcome? And to what end? Yet, it's important to recognize that there's this scripture that says, "Behold, I make all things new." And this is a reality. So, when we know that there's a spirit of truth, and then the world, the corrupt files that are out there to distract us, to take us away from our purpose and our course, will utilize the things that have been established. Because don't forget, it is important to recognize the landmarks that have once been put in place, so you can better understand and navigate as you continue to move forward, because otherwise you can easily get lost. Respect those, no doubt about it, but recognize that you are still on a journey of which you are forging new territory. You are opening new terrain. You are the pioneer of that which is to be. And if you are not allowed to expand and to go beyond where no man has gone before, well, we'll never get to where we ought to be going, which is to become evolved beings. I think I'll finish on that one.
Okay.
I thought here, when it said, after Loomis said, "Who can separate his faith from his actions, or his belief from his occupations? Who can spread his hours before him, saying, this for God, and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body? All your hours are wings that beat through space from self to self." From self to self. You missed that part, didn't you? From self to self, because there is only one self. And I have a poem that I've worked in called The Self. And the self is all things. And all things come from the self, because it is the self. Because there is no separation. Only separation there is that which you choose to separate from. But we are all a part of a whole, not a separate part, but a conglomeration, like all the cells of your body. Yet your eye cannot be the same cell that your toe is, because your eye cells see. Well, your brain does. It works with the functionality thereof. But if you start growing eye cells on your toe, to what benefit? Because something's wrong. I'm just saying. Go ahead. But the self is the self. And the self knows. There's this thing I say about the force. The force is that which holds all things together and in its place. And it's funny, when I heard that from off of Star Wars, it makes excellent logic. Because the earth is not held on a string, nor is the sun and the moon and the stars. But there is something, a force, a unified field that holds all things together and in its place. And when we go to the microcosm of things, they end up finding out that an atom in and of itself is just only a particle that is moving in such a rapid motion that it appears to be a solid object, when in actuality, it's not. The atom is a combination of the protons and the neutrons that make it what it is, and these things come together to form molecules, and these molecules are the substance of life itself, of which we all are a part of, and we exist within and around. And all of this is the unified field, which is God in and of itself, of many levels, and we need to embrace that to better understand what religion is, because that's what he's speaking here. He says, he who wears his mortality, but as his best garment, were better naked. The wind and the sun will tear no holes in his skin. And he who defines his conduct by ethics imprisons his songbird in a cage. Because the divine operation is always for expansion and full expression. The freest song comes not through bars and wires. And he who to whom worshiping is a window to open but also to shut. So you go to church on Sunday. Well, I thank you. But what are you doing on Monday through Saturday? Especially when you start hearing the club, which I really was a DJ, and I knew what to do to make the people move. Hey, I can still feel it. I can still feel it. But I'm not going to disrupt what I have in me as the divine. And I'm not going to allow corruption to disrupt my journey. So, to open but to also shut, has not yet visited the house of his soul, whose windows are from dawn to dawn. Your soul is an eternal being. It is always present, even once you leave you and depart from that which is your physicality. And your soul is connected to the spirit. Your spirit, which is connected to the great spirit. And the communication for your body to receive comes through your soul to your body, to have it identify it as being the temple of the living God, of the Most High, of which you have been authorized, granted, as a present in this life's living. It says, your daily life is your temple and your religion.
Mm-hmm. I said something similar to somebody that while I was working, and one of the things he asked me was, so what is your religion, or what church do you go to? And I said, well, I am the church.
Hey, mess him up. I better mess him up. Did mess him up.
And well, I qualified it and told him that I was a metaphysician. and that the metaphysician studies, everything. Everything is a conglomeration to express the divine nature within. But I did ask him the question of why he asked the question, or why did he ask? And he said, well, you were kind. And generally, people who have, I suppose, a religious leaning were the ones who were far more likely to be kind and offer the things that I was offering. But no, it really, I think that it took him, when I replied the way I did, it did take him aback.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, this
Yeah.
she's going around saying she is the church.
And people, I think we can qualify that because, at least from my perspective, the church is the people. It's not the building,
mm-hmm.
but the people build upon that which is the church, which Christ is the head, but people don't even understand what the head is. You see, that which is quartered gives sustenance to that which is whole. And the wholeness thereof has to be connected to that which nourishes it. Without the nourishment that is required for the whole to be complete, well, then there's going to be problems and frustrations and what have you, which is still going on. And truth be told, and I'm going to throw it out there, that's why a lot of churches ain't really working. Because they're not connected to the head as they ought be. Because this is about kingdom consciousness. And when you look at this whole dynamic, mankind is the product of an event that occurred before the beginning of time. And right now, there is a reconciliation and a redemption process that's going on that people have yet to fully understand. And when they look into this Christ consciousness thing, they become confused because they threw this white man in their face with this blonde hair and told them that this is Christ. And the scripture clearly tells you that don't even give this person an image. Don't give this person an image. Reason being is because we are all God. That was just another expression, the highest expression, because of the relationship of which we're requested to have that relationship, if not greater, because it says, and greater things will you do. But you have to have that relationship. That's what it was all about. So you have to have your head in the right quarters in order for the flow to manifest that which is necessary for your daily life to exhibit the temple and your religion. Because it says wherever you enter into it, whenever you enter into it, take with you your all. Mm-hmm. So the self is the self. So do not separate yourself from the self, because the self is all and all is one.
Exactly. Well, he said it. He took the words. Well, he said it in his own words. But
I almost took the words out of my mouth. Dang, go ahead. I'm gonna try again.
Yes, but I think the better way to really put it is, what is it? How is it that you want your divine nature to be reflected? What does it mean to operate at your highest and best self at all times? And the thing is that there is a need to recommit to that on a daily basis. To have people say to you, So what's your religion? Or who, what church do you go to? You know, the
Because people are seeking still for something.
yes,
And that's the reason why they're asking the question. Because they're like, ooh, you got a foundation. I want some of that.
yes,
That's the question.
that's the question. So and that this is something that I do recommit to on a daily basis, and before I walk out the door, I I allow myself to be in a place of connecting with the divine within, before I go out into the world. Even on those days when you know, I don't feel quite there, you have those days.
And just to add something I'm going to write on very soon. I was, like I said, living thought is a manifestation that I'm blessed to attain. And I looked at the word comfort, and this is the thing that got me. I was writing on it the other day, and I'll give you what I have here. We all are seeking comfort. All of us are seeking comfort. Every day we are seeking comfort. No matter what you're doing, you are seeking comfort. And once you find comfort, then you want to rest in that comfort. But we don't want you to rest in your comfort and be comfortable and not doing what you ought to be doing. So, when I saw that the other day, I was like, wow. Some people even struggle in their sleep because they're trying to get their rest. And it seems as if sometimes you can toss and turn all night because you're not comfortable. Okay? But then when you get that place of comfort, you don't want to get out of your comfort zone. Because now you're nestled in. You're settled. And now you're like, ah. But we all are here to do work. And it just so happens, once you get in that comfort zone, the alarm goes off. Oh my God, what is this? I got to get up and go to work? But all of us must work. But we must work the proper work. You know? So that's why it says, take the plow and the forge, and the mallet and the lute. The things you have fashioned in necessity or for delight. For in reverie you cannot rise above your achievements nor fall lower than your failures. And take with you all men. For in adoration you cannot fly higher than their hopes, nor humble yourself lower than their despair. So we are the all, and everything that is an expression thereof must first be acknowledged as coming from the source, through the source. Now, whether it becomes tainted, whether it becomes polluted, whether it becomes that which is no longer reflective of where it originated from as the source, do what is necessary to acknowledge at least that all things are God. And in so doing, anything else that may come will fall away. It has to. It's like snake skin. It ain't going to stay on there but so long. It's so many analogies I can give you for that. But it says again, in conclusion of this particular passage, it says, and if you would know God, be not therefore a solver of riddles. Okay? Now, that hit me hard because I know I am a solver of riddles. And there are quite a few. Matter of fact, I can give you some riddles, but and life is a riddle in and of itself, but we all are here as a 7.8 billion piece puzzle. And we all come together. That's why it says, take with you all men. We all come together to put this puzzle together, this puzzle of life, so that we can better understand and move forward and evolve. Okay? Because that's what we're here to do. We are the continuation of creation. So it says, rather look about you and you shall see God playing with your children. And look into space. You shall see God walking in the clouds, stretching out God arms, and the lightning and descending in rain. You shall see God smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in trees. God is love. Marvin Gaye has that song, see those flowers, they need love. See the bluebirds, they need love. See the mountains and the valleys, they need love. All of God's children, need love. Let's see the babies, they need love. And my Father, he needs love. That's true, baby. And I need love too. Because God is love, y'all. Come on. So, what is religion? If it ain't got love, it can't be religion, can it? Something to consider. So that goes back to beauty and love. I almost tempted to read my poem again, but I'm going to leave it alone. What? Well, Arlene said she wanted me to read it. She's looking over here. Look.
I didn't say anything.
Ooh, I heard a vibration. Okay,
Oh,
look,
did
I'm going
you?
to do like this, right? I'm going to do like this. If I go to that page, this ain't the page. Wait, yes it is. Oh my goodness. Maybe love. Maybe love is a ghost that is selective at most as to where and who she hangs out with. Maybe if we are not found to have the appropriate character for love to accept us, then maybe it is we who are unable to attain to greater levels with love. Maybe it is we who are not found to be as receptive as we ought to be when love does call. Maybe, just maybe, forgiveness is a place more than merely a thing we do. Maybe forgiveness is the place love loves most to be. Can you stay in the place called forgiveness? Or is it you who is always leaving? Maybe it is love that finds that it is you who is always leaving the place she loves most and then finds you are the deserter. How can we be free in freedom without love? If only love could dominate all things, I mean real love, then wouldn't all things be beautiful? Because then it couldn't be anything else but beauty and love. I love that poem. I wrote that one. I wrote it myself. Look at it. Through divine thought. So, Extraordinary Epiphanies of a King, www.kingsphilosophy.org. You can pick up a copy for yourself. Go to Amazon even if you like. Or give me a call. Hey, I got copies right here. So, we honor your time. We thank you so very much. We see you at 7 o'clock, and you've been so kind to us. Yes, you. Oh, excuse me. I was doing some work the other day. That's why my finger's dirty. Please forgive me.
I don't think they saw it.
Okay.
But, you know.
So, Mother's birthday was yesterday, and we had a celebration today, and we're getting some items together for her. So, I had to take down an old chair of over 50 years of age that was moving up and down the steps, which, I got to wash my hands. So, with that being said,
we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We thank God for you. And we know that wherever you are, God is.
I almost said it with it this time. Yay!
All right. We love
Peace,
you, family.
Namaste.